again. Hello everyone, Blaze here, and pretty much just to update you all on the current uh, stuff with Sodor Corruption Remastered. As of right now, I have no fucking clue what to do for the next episode. It's like the episode where the Prince Zach, whatever, I forgot what it's called, I forgot what I named it. So basically, like in the episode where Zach sprinted for the mainland, but failed. Yeah, that was planned, but unfortunately for the other episodes, they were not. In other words, to put it in simple terms, I have no idea what to do for the next episodes of Solar Corruption Remastered, and I've been trying to figure it out what to do, and I still have no clue. So I was thinking making a short video just to time skip to the current stuff, but then I I ran into another issue of wait, I still have no clue what to do, and yeah. So pretty much this is just to update you all. So pretty much here's what you should know. So after a sprint from the mainland, which I finally remembered it, in the first scene, Jake, Blaze, and Jenna headed down the main line trying to find survivors, while Zack sprinted on the main line through the mainland. Zack, of course, didn't make it and was left in the field. Jake, Blaze, and Jenna puffed down the main line for a bit until they reached Crosby, and there they found Samuel. They all came together and puffed down the line trying to find more survivors. They eventually decided to make their makeshift base at either Ellsbridge or Wellsworth. Either way, I don't know. I think maybe the base should be at Ellsbridge. I don't know. So yeah. So the four engines decided to head down the line to Ellsbridge and make their base there. And for a bit, that's where they've been staying. For a few days later, they heard what horns from Thompson's branch line. And the branch line, it was Mavis and Daisy. And said, they apparently they also escaped. Apparently, the quarry was corrupted as well. This is the corruption, and they also found, and as they were making their way down the branch line, they found a mysterious rock. It turns out it was coal. It was a glowing gem. But I can tell you, it was a Chaos Emerald. Why was there a Chaos Emerald in the branch line? Well, pretty much in simple terms, the corruption was pretty much breaking through universes, multiverses, and bringing every character to sodor. And one of the universes that the corruption decided to bring was Sonic's. And of course, yeah, there was a bunch of Sonic's characters and stuff happened in Sodor. Blaze recognized the rock as Blaze looked at the rock and realized it looked familiar. They couldn't quite remember what it was. So they decided to just keep it until then. They stayed the night at Ellsbridge, and when Blaze was having a dream, it cuts to a scene of Blaze puffing down the line, normal, and then in his head, he sees Caleb, who tells Blaze about the corruption, basically breaking through the timeline, multiverse, the universe, etc. And apparently, he there's a way to stop it. Fire, or you can just burn it. That was one way to get rid of it, but unfortunately, fire would not be enough. They said Caleb suggested they use gold dust to get rid of the corruption, and Blaze said, "Well, where are we gonna? Well, there is one engine that can use gold dust, but where the hell are we gonna find her?" In other words, Lady. They need Lady, but unfortunately, no one has the fucking clue where to find her. Of course they have no fucking clue. Why wouldn't they? So pretty much they realized Lady was their only hope to stop the corruption. But since no one knows about her existence, or no one knows where to find her, they were pretty much just stuck, and they had no clue what to do. So they decided to figure out a plan. Eventually, the next day, they decided to split up. Da- Mavis and Daisy went with Jake and Jenna. Okay, hold on, let me rephrase that. So Mavis, Daisy, and Jake decided to come together, decided to go together and head down the well western branch to find survivors, while Jenna, Blaze, and Samuel headed down towards the branch line to find anyone else. For as for Daisy, Mavis, and Jake, as they puffed down the line, they found Donald, Douglas, and Duck. Apparently, they been staying at the works for a while, but they were making their way down to the little western. Duck, who has been with them, told them about his story, which apparently trying. He gathered all the coaches, Isabel and Dulcie, and Donald also explained that they also had Toad, but Oliver came, took Toad with him, and left. And yeah, and no one knows where Oliver went after that. Oliver has been going down the line, and that's pretty much it. Not sure what. I'll probably explain that in a bit. Now, to Blaze, Jen, and Samuel, they've been going down on this branch line. Of course, their line split a bit. So Jenna decided to head down to the quarry, and Blaze and Samuel decided to head down to Farquhar. Jenna went down to the quarry and saw a bunch of corrupted people. She didn't hesitate, running away, and headed down to Farquhar. Well, meanwhile, with Blaze and Samuel, they were also at Farquhar, and they found no one. They were about to retreat when Jenna came and told them about the corrupted people. Blaze, who of course who had ran on Taunta's branch line before, knows there's an alternate way to get out. So they took that route and got out. They eventually went back to Elfridge and waited for the others. Jake, Mavis, Daisy, Donald, Douglas, and Duck headed down back came back. Everyone came back to Elfridge, which was all shocking. They apparently found out that they all decided to figure a plan. When everyone was grouped up, they eventually decided to figure a plan. And no one knows what to do until a new until some engines came. Those engines being Rosie and Bear. Rosie and Bear were also survivors, and they found them, the and us. Meanwhile, with Zach, actually, we're gonna cut to Zach. Zach was still in the field, but then eventually Stephanie and Boko found him. They asked what happened, but of course, with Zach having a broken jaw, he couldn't tell them. His crew, who was still alive, told them what happened, but they asked Boko and Stephanie if they could pull him out. Luckily, Boko and Stephanie had some equipment they could use. They didn't have the cranes, but they did have some cables they could use to pull him back. So they did. They started pulling his coaches away, so that way it would be easier to pull him out. After that, they pulled Zach back onto the rails, and then they made their way to Elsbridge. I mean, not Elsbridge, no. Wellsworth. Yeah, Wellsworth. So yeah, they made their way to Wellsworth, and they bandaged up Zach's mouth since it was all broken up. We also heard a familiar horn and a familiar whistle, that being Bob and Jade, who decided to pop back down the line to see the find survivors, which they eventually found Zach, Stephanie, and Boko. But eventually, the five engines decided to stay there for the night. The next few days, um, they decided to go back down the line for down. They reached Ellsbridge, where there they found everyone else, and then yeah, and then they also continued to think of a plan to stop the corruption. But of course, while they were doing that, Blaze and Jake asked Zach why he ran away. Zach, of course, the reason told couldn't tell them the reason, but his crew understood. They were able to tell them what happened. But apparently that Zach was losing his sanity and had been seeing things a lot. He was going crazy and knew that if this keeps up, Zach will go insane and mistaken a survivor for a corruption and a corruption for a survivor. So, so Zach decided to get out of it so that he could take his mind off. Blaze and Jake understood his situation and left him be to let him relax. As everyone else. And then of course I'm just gonna talk about the other characters they found. They found Murdoch, Molly, D261, Diesel, Dennis. Um, yeah, that's it. I'm not gonna include Charlie or Billy because in my head canon they are not canon. Because seriously, who the fuck cares about them? They are stupid. That's just my opinion, by the way. I just don't like those two characters. They are not the best. So whoever's a fan of them, I'm sorry, but I don't think they're not the best. I don't think they're the best. So anyway, back to what I was saying. So the survivors decided to think of a plan until different engines and creatures came. Those being Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Amy, and a bunch of other show characters. And they Knuckles then eventually asked Blaze if they had the so-called Chaos Emerald. Blaze's driver came down and showed them the rock that they found. Knuckles told them that it was a Chaos Emerald. Everyone then eventually asked Knuckles what it was. And of course, Knuckles had to explain it, and Blaze eventually realized that the Chaos Emerald were not too far from the similarities of the magic gold dust, which then he explained. Of course, the reason Blaze knows about the gold dust was because he's Thomas's brother. But not really, because Thomas is smaller, Blaze is bigger. And and uh, eventually told everyone about what the gold dust was, which was similar enough to the Chaos Emerald. Another show character, Phoebe, of course, who was there, realized that they could use both of them to get rid of the corruption and then restore everything that was happening. But then Jake asked Blaze if he had also had a night talking to him, which Blaze then asked, "How do you know that?" Jake eventually told Blaze that he had a dream where he talked to Regent about stuff, and yeah, that's it. They all eventually think of a plan and realize that if they can get Caleb, Zach, Caleb, and Regent and to use all the corruption together and then use the magic gold dust and chaos emerald, they might have a chance to get rid of it. But then soon an engine came. It was Jordan, who had asked if they'd seen Jolly. Stepney eventually told that no one knew where Jolly was until Stepney spoke. I saw him at the Brendan branch. Apparently, Jolly was taking a small goods train to the Brendan branch, where Jolly was. Jolly was still at Brendan. Jordan wanted to go, but everyone told him it was too dangerous, so Jordan decided to stay until we went. But eventually, Stepney had to tell them what else had happened. Well, Jordan, another thing, Jolly is dead. Apparently, when the corruption hit Brendan, Stepney, who saw that, quickly ran. Jolly wanted to run as well, but unfortunately his boiler had ran dry. His driver released the regulator, but of course it didn't go well. And then eventually it went kaboom. Jolly was dead. But since it was also corrupted, not surprising that Jolly also became corrupted. And for those wondering what happened to Bill and Ben, yeah, they got corrupted as well. Why not? Because I have no fucking clue what to do with those two little shits. So yeah, Bill and Ben are also corrupted. And as for Thomas and the others, the reason they're not back is because with the amount of boats, the boats have been going back to Sodor to get any remaining people away from the island. So that all the boats were so busy be they couldn't bother getting Thomas and the others back to Sodor. Thomas and the others couldn't just make puff their way there, but it would take too long and they didn't have enough water. And the reason was that apparently Sodor was in danger and no one was allowed to go there. So of course Thomas and his crew, Thomas and his friends couldn't get there. As the engines that are currently with Thomas, the engines that are is Thomas himself, Edward, Henry, Gordon, James, Percy, Toby. Yeah, I know Duck was supposed to be there as well, but I kind of needed him for this series. So, oh, sorry, Duck, you're coming with me. So meanwhile, with the event, when Jordan found out he was this and ran away to somewhere. I don't know where. I'll figure that out soon as I'm telling us. So everyone else eventually decided to go make a plan. And they decided to stick with the plan they made, which was getting Lady, the Gold Dust, and the Chaos Emerald together to get rid of the corruption once and for all. But the problem was no one knew where to find Lady. So even with the Chaos Emerald's power, they they were worried it wouldn't be much, or it wouldn't be enough to get rid of it. They knew if they could find the Lady, it might work. But of course, no one knew where she was. But they knew they. But then Sonic eventually told them that the Chaos Emerald has been used to its full power, even beyond its limits. If it can do that again, it did that. If it can do that, it can do it again. It was risky, but they had no choice. So eventually, they stuck with that plan and decided to go with it, using the power of the Chaos Emeralds to get rid of the corruption. And like I said, the corruption was like breaking through the timeline, universe, multiverse, AUs, etc., whatever. And soon the engines made their way down the line to where the last place Taylor was last seen, which Zack eventually explained that they had no clue, but they noticed an old line that the point was set to. The signalman, who was in the signal box, explained that he saw Zack get chased and quickly changed the points so that Caleb would go down an old line where no one would go. But they said to as best they do until now they get rid of it. Eventually, it turns out the old line was the same line that headed to the ironworks. They eventually found Caleb, and yeah. Actually, wait, how am I gonna do the big fight? Which of your friends doesn't even have the ironworks? It has the old one. Uh, Actually, wait, I can just figure something out. I might change that to the old Never or whatever. Never, actually, the old. Fuck! I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So yeah, back to it. Um, the old line. Cut that part out. Let's just go to the line. The old line is the tracks that headed to an old station that apparently used to be Marin, but of course, with current conditions, it wasn't maintained well and was left abandoned. The fight took place at the old Marin, and eventually, yeah, they just fight. Jordan was, who was still mad, stopped at Knapford. Where there, he found some fuel tankers, gunpowder vans, and knew what he had to do. He grabbed them and began making his way down the line. Meanwhile, with everyone else, they were pretty much still fighting. Knuckles and Sonic decided to use Chaos Emerald to go Super. And if you're wondering, yes, Shadow is also here. And Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles also used Chaos Emeralds and began using Chaos abilities to stop it. But of course, the corruption was trying to fight back. The corruption quickly began absorbing its remains from other places in the multiverse, eventually making one giant monster. It was so big that no, that, that even with the power of the Chaos Emeralds, they knew it wasn't enough. It was also bigger than the Titans in Sonic Frontiers. And now I don't play Sonic Frontiers, but I watched it and I noticed how big the Titans are. So I decided to make the monster bigger than that. Because why not? Because why not? So yeah, and eventually Johnny, Jordan came with fuel tankers and blew it up, but it wasn't enough. And, and eventually, Lady came and said that eventually asked if the Chaos Emerald still had have max power. Knuckles responded in yes, even when Sonic and Shadow used the Chaos Emerald. But then, of course, Blaze then asked Lady if he could also use the Chaos Emerald. But then everyone looked at Blaze. Now, the engines can't go super, but Blaze, who had who had familiar who seen the rocks before, of course told them that he knew how to use it. He told them to put it in his firebox. But then Noctilus said, wouldn't that just burn the emeralds? But Thomas but then Blaze said, just do it. Just do it. It'll work. And of course they did it anyways, because they did because Blaze told them to. The reason they didn't want to, but because they were worried Blaze was going to burn them instead. But Blaze persisted. He said it won't burn them. So they did, and eventually found out that Blaze can also go super. Because in this timeline is fan fiction. None of it is real. Because seriously, how is a ninja gonna go super? It's fan fiction. None of it is real. So with Blaze going in super form, Lady also gave Blaze some of the gold dust, and then Blaze also asked Jake if he wanted to join. Jake agreed, and Jake was also given a super form and also the gold dust. Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles were also given the gold dust, and all their powers, they defeated the monster. But to make sure it was gone, they also used the same thing. Sonic, Shadow decided to use this, and Sonic, Shadow, and Silver, who was also there, Silver suggested they use the same method they did with the metal virus. The metal virus, if you don't know, is from Sonic comic. I don't want to go too much in that lore. You just search it up yourself. I won't spoil it for you, but that's what I said for you. But anyways, that's what I was saying. So like the method was to send the corruption to another place where it would not be disturbed, that being out of existence. But this meant Lady would have to go. Lady have to make the gold dust and the chaos emerald to its full potential, even more than it was capable of. In other words, Sonic, Shadow, and Lady would have to get the Chaos Emeralds and the Gold Dust way beyond their limits, like above their limits, to get rid of corruption out of existence. None of it was real. They did it, and then boom, the corruption was gone. Jake, Blaze and Jake flew back down to the ground, and ground, and Chaos Emeralds came out. And the driver shoveled the Chaos Emeralds out of Blaze's firebox, making Blaze out of taking Blaze out of his super form. They took up the Chaos Emeralds, which was not surprisingly, this, like last time, it was it was dark and was shattered. But since but in the series, Sonic series, where they would use above their limits, they would crack and break. But since they were but since they were in Blaze's firebox, since they were out of power, they cracked, broke, and also kinda melted. Not didn't melt too much, but looking at it will be a while till it's fixed. Knuckles said he can be able to fix it soon, but it might be a while. Lady said the gold dust might need time healing itself from all the events, but the lady said she will bring everyone back. So everyone grouped up an effort, and Lady used the gold dust to restore everything: the multiverse, the universe, the timeline, and eventually sending everyone else back to their own worlds. And she also cured the damaged eye, because of course the corruption on Blaze and Jenna and the other engines that were corrupted and everyone else were taken out of them. So of course they were still hurt. So Lady used her gold dust to heal them. So Blaze got her eye back, so did Jenna, Kayla and Regen came back, and of course Jolly came back. And so did Bell and Ben, the two little shits. And Jade was also healed, and so was Zack from their eyes and jaws. The corruption was finally gone, defeated, etc. And uh, eventually Thomas and the others were able to go back to Soto, which there they were asking Blaze what the hell just happened. And of course, it ended up with Blaze saying, well, that's kind of a long story. And then the end. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the end of Solar Corruption Remastered. I I know at the when I first said about this, like at the start of this video, I time skipped. But at this point, I have no fucking clue what to do. And because of the fight scene being a corruption thing with other characters and stuff, do you think I don't know how to animate? I have no idea how to make the fight. So in other words, I don't know how to do any of this. So in other words, this is just me explaining the the end of Soda Corruption Remaster. Because seriously, I have no fucking clue what to do. I am out of ideas. I have my brain dead empty. So yeah, that's pretty much it that happened to Soda Corruption Remastered. I know people wanted to see the fight and stuff, but with, with my current skills, I don't think I can. And because it's a corruption between the multiverse, and that would be like an animation, and I don't know how to animate. So yeah, and so pretty much after that, everyone lived happily ever after. Everyone got back to work, etc., etc., and then everything was back to normal. No one, and Phoebe was also sent back to her world. Everyone, and then Blaze decided to ask, where did corruption came from anyway? Like, who made it or what created it? Apparently, no one knew. It just came out of nowhere. But Phoebe, who was still there before being sent back, explained that they had no clue either. It just came into their world. But they have a theory a villain did it. They had no idea what villain made the corruption, but of course, it would be a while. We want to find out. But Lady told them that apparently, it was none other than, well, how about I give you this? Try to guess who the hell made the corruption in this timeline. Try to guess who I decided to make the corruption. Okay, come on, figure it out. Did you guess it? Yep. Did you? Oh, congrats. If you can, it was None other than Patrick Boomer. Congratulations! Yay, Patrick Boomer was the mastermind behind this. What a surprise. If you guessed Patrick Boomer, you are correct. Congratulations. If you if and for those who didn't guess it correctly, too bad, so sad, cry about it. Of course, when Lady found out about this, she didn't hesitate, literally murdering him. And just murdered the shit out of Boomer. And yeah, that's it. So, Vivi was sent back to her world, everyone else was sent back to their world, everyone got back to what they were doing, long story short, and everyone was back, everything was back to the way it was normally. The corruption was no more, it was gone. Everyone just, everyone was back to what they usually do. Sonic going on adventure, Blaze in the gang, doing work, etc., etc. And that's it. So again, that's pretty much it. Like I said, pretty much just me explaining the end of the Soda Crutcher Remastered. And again, the reason I explaining this is because again I cannot animate. I can't animate, so yeah. I could just get like Splendid or Mania to animate it for me, but currently, um, uh, they are currently having beef with each other. In other words, they're both fighting again. I don't know why. I don't know why they're fighting. I don't know what's wrong with them. But I'm not gonna deal with this shit. I'm not being part of this. It's yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the end. I apologize for not doing the rest of the episodes. It's just too complicated, and because I can't do it, and I have no fucking clue what to do. So yeah. So that's it for the corruption series. It's kind of just the end. This video is probably just the end for that because I have no fucking clue what to do. So yeah, this is just me explaining. I, if I could, I would make the episodes if I had the skills, but that's as I if had them, like if I had the skills to do it. Maybe in the future, if I get the skills, maybe. But even then, in the future, I don't think I'm going to animate because seriously, I have no fucking clue. So I don't think that will be happening anytime soon. So as of right now, this is kind of the end for Soda Crusher Remastered. I know. Okay, well, pretty much this is just to explain it. The reason I continue it after Samuel's episode, the reason I continued it was because I to wanted to end it off with a like a bang. So like it has a proper ending. But then when I began making episodes about it again, I realized, oh wait, I'm realizing I don't know how to do this, and yeah, so that's just it. I can't do it. And not sure what else to talk. Not sure what else needs saying. I guess I can make I mean, yeah, that's it. I guess I can make a stream of people asking what happened after. So like in the stream, I can answer what happened after that, etc. And yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, full fight, blah blah blah, etc. Well, I think that pretty much covers it all. I'm sorry it just didn't. Sorry for not continuing this. I again wanted to continue it in a proper way, but with my current skills, I don't think I can. So, anyways, that that's the end for the series. Series. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you loved it like I did. It was fun to make. Not not mentioning the amount of pain I have to go through with thinking of an idea of what the hell I have to do. So, anyways, thank thank you for watching. Hope you love the series, and I might just I might do something for that. Who knows? And as of right now, what does this mean? What am I going to do now? Well, pretty much, I'm just going to continue the other series, like Blaze of Madness or Sudrians. Either one of those. Either one of those two. So this is the end for Corruption Remastered, and I again hope you enjoyed it and loved it like I did. Thank you for all. Thank you all for watching the series. I'm really glad people enjoyed it, and I hope you like them again. Sorry, but anyways, thank you all for watching. Have a great day, and of course, sayonara.